Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on in. It's going to be a collective message. Let's see what we've got. I'm going to start out with whatever the energy flow may be. We have vacay. Get away, relax, have fun. That may be somebody's deepest desire right now. Totally understandable. Lots of stress. I could see somebody saying, I would love, love, love. We have happy, happy. Definitely comes across as somebody who is wishing for a break in stress, for an opportunity. And she stands on this egg, by the way, with this little keyhole here. Like, if only I could unlock that. I would very much love to go somewhere like that. TikTok. Okay, so we may have somebody that is actually scheduling a vacation. I think that's still so important. Especially, we always still have to stay grounded and have breaks from stress and hard work. No matter how chaotic things are, there's also a need to take care of oneself, one's well-being. And so if it's like, what, I'm counting down the days until I get my, even if it's a mini vacay, even if it's just like, oh, the weekend, and I'm going to let myself do something purely for my restorative energy. My weekend is going to be something I look forward to, or there's something, even if it's a 2-hour escape in a day, that is so important for like my well-being and my happiness. So it definitely feels like we've got somebody who knows, they know that it's really important to take care of yourself. Look, life is always going to be there. Hard things, difficult things are always going to be there. But we do have to balance out our energy. Hi, guys. Angel Leo girl, Sassy, AJ. Nice to see you guys. We have 9 of Wands. Okay, so this could be, I know first we saw a lot of feminine energy. Now we see this divine masculine, and he's sitting here kicked back. Bear in mind that 9 of Wands is somebody who could be going through some pretty difficult things. That's a wounded warrior energy. I mean, when do we most need support and a chance to catch our breaths? When we're in the thick of really difficult things and we've been fighting the good fight over and over again. And then it's like, okay, I need sleep, I need food, I need to restore my energy. So let me go ahead and do that for myself, and then I can get back out there. So I feel like that's probably the best way to look at this. Yeah, we have the Star. A character really needs to heal. Now, I will say this. Could be that we have possibly a wounded warrior kind of fire sign masculine who says, where my happiness is. It's this possibly Aquarius feminine. There is something about her energy. This could be somebody who's like so looking forward to going. It doesn't have to be a romance, but let's just say he looks forward to maybe this is his hairdresser, and it's like, I don't know why, but I always feel so much more relaxed. Or maybe this is an energy worker, or this is some appointment that he's really looking forward to keeping for himself, because her energy, you notice how she has like this golden aura around her. There's something where the energy of her is so important to like help him to recalibrate. However we look at this, we have a divine masculine who knows that a divine feminine is very important to his well-being, to his peace. 3 of Cups. God, he loves seeing her. I don't know if this is romantic or not. Maybe he just likes, whatever, checking up on her social media or something. Maybe she's not really in his life. She is definitely like the angel to his thunder and lightning, his heavier side. By the way, tonight on Tarot Dog at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be going live, and I'm doing a message from their shadow side. So I don't know what that's going to entail yet. Today I was like, must do. And I already announced it. I recorded a video that'll come out. There's a totally different concept on Tarot Dog, but I already made the announcement over there. So I'm definitely doing it on that channel live at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Just FYI. But it's just making me think about this, because we have somebody who's, standing in the pouring rain. There's those angel wings still, but the thunder, the lightning, the difficult energy, and then this beautiful, harmonious, like escape. And this could all be that she represents a peaceful place for his mind to go. And it's like, I can't wait until I get a chance to just like connect to her energy, why do we all like entertainment? Because it's a form of escapism, right? It's a chance for us to kind of like take a break from everything we are dealing with and let our creative side out and let our minds, it doesn't mean that we're like mindlessly sitting there, like just entertain me so I can have a coping strategy to forget my real life. No, entertainment is, sometimes it's inspirational, but also sometimes it does provide something that is like that wonderful lift. I mean, I can honestly say music is everything to me, which is ironic because I have no musical talent whatsoever, but music, no matter what stress I'm under, man, if I go out walking and turn on music, it literally like feeds my soul. It is the quickest way for me to regain my balance internally. And I wonder if she is like that for them. She is like music for me. That's the way he seems to see her. 10 of Swords, 6 of Swords. And somehow, whatever he's gone through, because there is a significant ending happening in his life, she represents, after I'm through this difficult phase, I'm going to be free of it. And you notice his little grin. He's like, maybe she can become a bigger part of my life. Is this a divine masculine who is secretly paying close attention to a divine feminine? And he's like, I can't wait until I'm done with this. Okay, so I'm just going to be honest right now. It's not that we have cards to support it, but what's in my mind right now is we have this masculine who could be sitting there like, okay, I have a court date today. It's going to be really stressful. I'm sitting down with the mediators. We're dealing with all of this. But, my happy thought is when I get done, I'm going to kind of sneakily like look forward to, I get to think about her, or I get to see, whatever her updates are or something along those lines. She is something that gives me peace. And it reminds me that I will get through this difficult chapter of my life and then I'll be free of it. And then who knows? Maybe she can be more than just my secret happy thought that I go to. Can I just ask, what is the 10 of Swords? What is it that is ending in your life? Hi, guys. So nice to see everybody. Thank you so much for being here. TW, you Angel, Shriza Ali. Hi, babe. Sandy Nesta, Holly Light. So good to see all of you. Thank you, guys. Hi, Star Maiden. Right back at you, babe. We have a 10 of Wands. We have a 2 of Cups. We have the Hanged Man in the reverse. So what is he going through? What is the ending? Honestly, it could be laying down like you notice he's out here in this field and it's like, okay, I have harvested everything. I have taken care of, I've hoed every row. This always feels like, I don't know if anybody was raised like agriculturally like I was, but one of my fondest childhood memories were huge, huge, huge cornfields. And oh my God, they get so hot. If you don't really want to get lost in the middle of one, it gets really, really hot in there in the hottest parts of summer. But it's also the funnest thing in the world to intentionally play hide and seek in the cornfields. And then at the end of the season, before the cornfields are plowed over and, knocked down, that's particularly fun. But careful because the edges of them are sharp and you can cut your face. But it feels like that. Like, obviously anything agriculture is a lot of hard work. If you're planting seeds, watering seeds, tending to it, and then the harvest is hard work too, like all those things are hard work. But the reward is so worth it. Then you have all this food, or you sell all the corn and you make money and you survive. It's worth it. So the only reason I'm going on and on about that is because I kind of wanted to explain, like, it's hard work, it's hot work, it's, there's a lot to be said for what he's been working on, but he's saying it was all worth it. I don't regret going through whatever this is. If it had to do with like working hard to then pay things off, so now I have, financial freedom from a debt, it could be something like that. But it's like, he's got to follow it all the way to the end. You don't just plant and pick and then just be like, okay, done. Like, no, you got to still clear the land afterwards too. So I feel like he's had to do like every step of this process. And it could have been about something like money or setting things right. But we still have just one last stand of corn that he's got to take down, right? If that is the case, if that's the corn maze that he's been working through and he's finally done, it means finally there's no more delays. And if she has been his 2 of Cups, I could understand how he might be saying, the thing I had to be done with was the thing that was the obstacle or the hard work that I had to put in some other area of my life. And until I had cleared out that vast corn maze and, done everything I was supposed to with it, I wasn't going to be free to move into the next chapter of my life. Because this is hinting that she has been like a bright spot on his mind. You're a spot in mine, you're a spot in my mind. Oh God, there's a song. I can't think who it is, and I can't hear any more than that in my head. And it's a song I really like. It's bugging me. We've got an Ace of Swords. It's in the reverse. There was no clarity and no definite, like destination point that he could be sure he was going to hit the bullseye and that, he would be able to achieve this. That was not ever sure. And maybe that's why she has been kind of like a secret happy place in his mind, something that, like I'm just going to remind myself that there could be happier days ahead for me. I mean, I don't know for sure, but she keeps feeling like his escape. Maybe I don't want to say she's his entertainment. I don't mean it that way, but she has been his happy thing that he needed to believe was out there for him. Should things ever work out in that way? Should he ever get things achieved and wrapped up? She was always the, like the vacation image in his mind. But the thing is, we actually are in the final chapters of him wrapping some things up. Let me just ask, Feminine, do you know anything about this, about you being on his mind? Six of Swords sideways. In a subconscious way, she has possibly said, I knew that we would never maybe be able to be in the same little kayak together unless something's changed. So in that sense, if he really wanted something with me, he would have to probably make significant changes in his life. But I didn't really know if that would happen. And in the meantime, I've been trying to move on also. It's just, you don't know what anybody else is doing, especially with the Hermit. She's saying, I have no idea what he's been up to. It's not for me to know what somebody else is going to do. It feels very much like she stayed away from him on purpose. Okay. Seven of Wands. Yeah. And Ace of Pentacles. She said, he's the one with all the blockages, not me. I can't let it become my blockage. I have no idea if he's ever going to unblock himself and start some new chapter of life, but it doesn't impede me, and I have to be able to know that. Can I just ask, Feminine, from your perspective, what was the situation that was the impediment? Three of Wands, Four of Cups. Something about how he was or was not going to choose to do things in the upcoming future. I mean, this could be somebody that was like, he made some mistakes, got himself in trouble with the law. Maybe he was incarcerated, maybe, whatever, house arrest, or, look, good people make mistakes all the time. Good people fumble and slip up. Good people make bad decisions, sometimes for the right reasons. Just because somebody gets themselves into hot water does not mean that they're not a fabulous human being. And it doesn't mean that the thing that we did wrong is something we'd ever repeat. And it also doesn't mean that the thing we did wrong was technically something, sometimes wrong things are not actually wrong. The motive makes a bigger difference than anything, I think. And I'm only saying that because although they may have a lot of regrets, and they may have operated off of an illusion, in her mind, she's like, I don't know how they're going to do things in the future. I don't know if they want to live in illusions. I don't know if they want to keep making the same mistakes, but it's up to them as to what direction they want to take their life. So there's something here where she basically said, she keeps saying, it's not up to me to say, this is what's wrong. This is what you need to fix. You notice how I think it's very telling about who she is. She doesn't decide, standing there with a checklist, like you did this wrong and then you need to fix this. She's not being this person's like supervisor or mother or, judge and jury. She's saying, I don't know what he's going to want to do in the future. The obstacle is still, whatever choices he wants to make in his own future. And if he has regrets and if he wants to do stuff different in life, I have no idea. It's not up to me. I still don't see exactly what it is. But with the devil here. So I will say this, even though we don't see her being, judge and jury on him, I will still say she is able to say, I have a right to have an opinion about if someone's behavior feels toxic and he's choosing to be toxic, stay sitting in the lap of the devil, whatever it is. If I have a right to say, I don't want that in my life, I see that as toxic. And I think that that is not her being judgy against him. That is her being discerning for herself. And there's always that fine line. I think being judgy against other people is when we're then, saying you're not good enough versus saying I'm not willing to let that into my life. It's a subtle but really important thing. Like, we're allowed to be discerning. We're allowed to have our own opinions. And yes, that is making a judgment call, but it's not to say you're bad, you do this wrong, blah, blah, blah. It's not the same thing. It is and it isn't, right? You have freedom to do whatever you wish. I don't happen to like it, so therefore it can't be in my life because I have discernment and I have a right to make my own choices. But I don't see her trying to control him at all. But I do see her saying, I felt like something he was doing was toxic. And if he wants to sit in toxicity, that is up to him. I don't know what this energy is. Obviously, they're both sitting there on their phones. 6 of Cups, 4 of Swords. All I can say, you notice how we can't get a direct answer on this from her perspective. She says, look, I thought that they were a soulmate to me. And honestly, it was hard for me to step away because there's so much good in this person. It hurt me to have to withdraw. It hurt me to have to step away, not talk to them anymore. And I do feel like they must have had some final text messages or emails sent. And I think she probably said point blank, this is what I can't have in my life, even though it also means I can't have you in my life. It's not because I didn't want you to be in my life. And it's actually really hard for me to step back. It's hard for me not to talk to this person, but I have to go heal and I have to do this, silently on my own. I still don't know what she says it was toxic. We saw him, going through major endings, 10 of Wands, 10 of Swords. Let me take another look here. What do we have for if he wants to respond to that at all? Again, we just have the Hermit and he's sideways. Look, there's so many ways that we could say something is toxic, right? And I guess I would just summarize it by saying something that we are allowing or that we are doing that is destructive in some way to our life. That's, I guess, what I would consider toxic. Whether it's giving away our power to somebody else, whether it's staying in a relationship that we're not satisfied in, they're not satisfied in, but we're staying, for whatever reason. It's making everybody miserable, but we're going to stay anyway because of obligation. That could be maybe considered toxic if it's destructive in some way. But in this case, the Hermit says, I'm on this dark night of the soul. This could be somebody who is keeping secrets, very withdrawn, wouldn't communicate whatever was going on in their life. And that could be a whole nother way to say, I can't build with somebody that I can't know about. If you are perpetually keeping your struggles totally to yourself and I can't ever get to know you, that's not going to work for me. I don't know. This feels a little bit more like they didn't want to explain what they've been dealing with, but they have certainly been processing things. Hierophant and the Devil. This can be anything from belief system, and that could take us down the road of religious belief systems that may or may not actually suit them. It could be something dogmatic instead of something that, lifts you up and makes you a better, kinder person. It could be something with rules and regulations that, there's a lot of freaky belief systems out there that are very bad, very toxic. And yet it's very hard to peel oneself away from something that has been, you've been indoctrinated in. Anything extreme. That's why I don't like groups at all. I don't like political groups. I don't like religious groups, not because they're inherently bad, but because I just always want to maintain, I pick for myself. I will speak only for me. I don't want groups around me, only because I can like something that somebody says, but I may dislike other things. And so I never want to like jump on board with a group for myself. I'm fiercely independent that way, but I feel like it's very understandable that it is easy to end up feeling beholden to a group. I think that that's so relatable, and it's so common, and it's so hard not to have that happen. And that could be part of this. Now, this can also be a marriage. This can be anything that they signed a contract for that happened to have been very toxic. This could be a business scenario, but anything where they lost their autonomy and they were going to have to gain it back. That was probably what the toxic thing was. This is the devil puppeting. So there's fear, there's a difficulty in standing up for oneself, or there's a difficulty in breaking away from a belief system that doesn't work for them, or breaking away from a job because it's like, yes, I mean, my boss is toxic, the environment is toxic, but the money is good, and I'm afraid to leave it. Or this is a marriage. I am married, even if it's the most, heinous, non-loving connection I've ever had. There's a reason I'm staying in it. It's because either I'm afraid to leave it, or it just seems like such a huge, fearful thing to have to face and dismantle because of all the other people I would disappoint. There could be one particular like powerful person that I'd have to stand up to, and it may not be the person I'm married to. It could be somebody else who wants me to stay in that connection. There's layers to anything about why does somebody stay in something that they're not even happy in, something that feels like they've lost their autonomy in. Because it's hard to stand up for oneself, and it's hard to walk away from things even that are suffocating. It's not so easy. So I feel like we can be really compassionate and understanding with this person, even though amen to her for saying, I'm not the one with the complications. The only person who can free you is you. And I think where you're at is pretty toxic. So as much as I wish we could have been, and I don't want to walk away. I felt like we're soulmates, but I'm going to do that for my sanity, because I can't. What am I going to do? I'm going to sit here now. I'm toxic and I'm delaying because you are. That's just, she's not saying it with judgment exactly. She's making the judgment call for herself. So with that in mind, I think her stepping away from him was the best thing that could have ever happened. And maybe her words really like rattled in his head because that hermit card was sideways. He started to like really think about things differently. He also maybe started to speak up for himself a little bit, because that's less silence and a little bit more action. On the hermit's journey, sometimes we just go internal, right? And everything is just processing in our mind. When we start to see them come out of that, it's like, okay, I'm not exactly, standing up and communicating a ton of things and taking tons of action, but I'm starting to tip, things in favor of actual action instead of just thought process. And that could have been, again, part of that 10 of Wands, 10 of Swords. Like, this was a huge process for him to like deprogram himself, is what I'll say. Character, what have you decided to do in all this? 8 of Swords, 9 of Swords. To face the fact that being stuck was stressing him out. The idea of getting unstuck is stressful too, but being stuck is perpetual stress and hell. So which is scarier? To stay where you are, which is awful, or to go ahead and, this is that 9 of Swords. So we have 8 of Swords, 9 of Swords, and we already saw that he had the 10 of Swords. Which is worse? When staying becomes the thing that you identify as like, this is stress every day to stay put. And even though it felt really scary to make the change and go to the 10 of Swords, honestly, the 10 of Swords is like one big crescendo, but then it's done. I called it. I said, no more. I don't want to do this anymore. I quit. I walk away. I extricate myself. It's not even about standing up for oneself as much as it is saying, I withdraw. I don't want to do this. I'm not going to be beholden to something I don't believe in anymore. And I think it's because being stuck became intolerable, probably because of how much he thought about this entire scenario and maybe thought about her words. And it finally, and this could have taken a long time, because when you're getting to the 8 and then the 9 and then the 10, that's where it's like, if you've ever gone hiking And, you know, it's been a long hike, and the steepest part of the incline to summit the mountain is at the very, very end. So, you know, you were trudging along pretty good. You had energy, and now it's been 4.5 hours, and your energy is depleted, and you're coming to the hardest last segment. That can be, you know, one step, and then you slide back 2 feet because it's, you know, a real steep incline on some, you know, soft, you know, granite or something. You have to work even harder to get to the top. And so that final push can be the biggest amount of energy, but it's also where you're like, well, screw it. I've come this far. You better believe I'm getting to that summit. So I kind of feel like that's what he did. He like locked in and said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to free myself from this. I've come this far. And honestly, there's no way I can go backwards. We see her overlooking that mountain as well. The shape of that mountain isn't Mount Shasta, but it makes me think of Mount Shasta. So I don't know if that's, you know, we've got California as a location for our divine feminine or not. It's a beautiful mountain, by the way. It looks a little bit like Mount Olympus too, although Mount Olympus has a little bit more height to it. So maybe Greece, but we do have a mountain there for her. Like, she was aware it would be a really big thing for him to have to change. And I don't know that he ever will. He says, actually, I've been more powered up and more excited and more suddenly, like with this burst of energy, that I'm actually letting myself complete this. I am finally wrapping things up. He's in a great mood. And you know how we saw it at the very beginning? It was like, I'm going to get a vacation. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to unlock that egg, that key. And it's almost time. I'm so close to it. So that's what this boils down to. We have a divine masculine that is freeing himself. Sandy Nesta, it looks like Shasta to you too. Isn't Shasta a beautiful mountain? I'm a West Coaster, so I know West Coast mountains primarily. But we have 7 of Pentacles, and we have the 5 of Wands. This is like, it's been a long time coming, and he's been spying on her for a long time. She has been the bright spot in his mind for a long time. The question mark and the way he's thinking about things now is like, first order of business is wrap up what you are wrapping up, be done with that. And then you can think about how you tell her, hey, that thing that was toxic in my life, I actually wrapped it up. I finished that. I wanted to reach out and tell you, you know, I got the divorce, or I separated, or I did the thing. I stepped away from that career path that was toxic. I did the thing that basically we broke up over. I did that. And I need to tell you that. It feels like that could also be why this whole story has been like this energy of like excitement against a backdrop of really difficult things. We have this sunshine, and she has been like a consistent guiding light in his mind. Her words were a guiding light. There's been a really wonderful energy. Yeah, Page of Wands. That Page of Wands is I haven't done it yet, but I'm ready to take an action. And he even has like a letter held in his hand. These are our messengers, right? But he's sitting here and he hasn't started like get the momentum going. He hasn't started to like swing the swing yet. He's really looking forward to this. He's really looking forward to telling her, I achieved the thing that I needed to. He's thinking about when to send it, how to send the message, King of Wands, or do I just go and talk directly to her? Is that what I should do? Just go and show up and say, hi, it's me. I came to tell you I did the thing. You know what? I am so happy for him. Honestly, this looks like he has finally like really been able to listen to his heart. I don't know how swiftly he will be approaching her, other than that's the next order of business on his mind for sure. But mostly, I mean, this feels so celebrative. Is it celebrative? Is that a word? Did I just invent a new word? Celebratory worthy. I am. So we're gonna go with celebrative. That should be a word. That sounds like it's a word, you guys. This feels like it could go beautifully. Nowhere in this did we see like, oh, this person was lying, was a scoundrel. This is somebody who has so much respect for her as well. And I do feel like her words have carried him through this, I mean, admittedly very difficult chapter of his life where he had to make some significant choices, you know, and he had to also work through, you know, this process of finding the courage to free himself, finding the courage to look at his circumstances as they were and said, I have to not be afraid of whomever the devil represented. I should permit myself to be a sovereign person. I shouldn't be under someone else's, you know, puppeteering control. I'm never going to get the life that I want to live if I stay, you know, basically trapped where I am. So she taught me that. She showed me that. He has a lot to say to her. But more than anything, I would say that this is one of those stories where you never know how much, like if she had said, okay, that's all right, you're going to stay in something toxic, I'll, you know, still deal with you on the side, on the sly, that would have possibly just permitted him to stay right where he was. She required more. You know, soulmates help each other to learn things. And she may have shown him that no matter how hard it is, don't settle for half of the life that you want. Make sure that you choose the tougher road. It was hard for her to walk away from him, but she also led by example. Like, I'm not going to tolerate half of you while you're stuck someplace else. So I'm going to go ahead and do the tougher thing, which is to let you go if that's what I have to do. Not because I want to, but because I know where my boundaries are. So that maybe showed him, do choose the thing that you really want in life, even if it's a tougher road. Don't settle for the breadcrumbs and perpetually be miserable because you always feel like you're getting, you know, done dirty. But it's like, well, I guess this is all I can have, so I guess this is what I have to deal with. She won't live her life that way. She lives her life where it's like, I'm sorry, but where the boundaries are for me, where my deal breakers are, I honor those. As tough as it is, I do take the tougher road because ultimately, even if it's hard initially, I know that it's a better route for me. She did not budge on what her convictions were. And I think, again, that set some kind of a precedent for him where he's like, it's true. Why am I living a life that is so freaking stressful and miserable, but I'm going to keep staying because I don't want to do the tougher thing that would be to face a difficult, you know, separation or breakup, whatever the Ten of Swords is, a difficult ending, because it would be, oh, too much work, too much effort, too much stress. Well, what I'm already doing is stressful. And my Empress damn sure wouldn't put up with that. She would handle it. She would walk away. She would end things and claim her independence, even if it was a hard road, because she won't settle for a life half lived. It's kind of it's not an all or nothing. It doesn't mean she can't bend, but she won't compromise on things that are like, this is not a compromisable option for me. And I think that was really amazing. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to leave this one here. Annie S, I love that. What's around the corner? So you want a little future? Maybe we'll do a little around the corner future update on the weekend. I'm going to get started on the next series here, and then I love it, Annie. You're so adorable. I love all of the thoughts. You guys are so amazing. Thank you guys so much for hanging with me. Sandy Nesta, thank you again, love. Hi, Renee, right back at you. Hi, Kay, thank you for being here. Mwah. Lots of love. Hi, Becky. And Baby Yoda, wonderful to see you. Squishfish, hi. Yay, Squishfish. Okay, so celebrative is designed or set apart for celebrating. Thank you. Thank you so much, because I can honestly say in 45 years, I've never heard anybody say celebrative. And I was like, because sometimes I do make up words on accident. I thought that was just, my brain shorting out. So thank you, Squishfish, because I've never used that word. I've never heard anybody else use it. So I'm so glad that it exists. Star bars. Thank you, babe. And I think that celebrative should be our word for the day. So I'm sure people use it. I can't think of when I've heard it. So, but obviously I've heard it somewhere or I wouldn't know it. Janine Wilson, good to see you. Moonbeam Wendy, hi, babe. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. You were so kind. Becky, you sweetheart. SLH, nice to see you. Loving Light Libra. Thank you again so much. Sassy. And Rebels in the house. Hi, honey. All right. Oh, Courtney Walsh. Hi. Amen. I agree. Hi, Sonia Hernandez. Thank you for being here. Right back to you, babe. Oh, Brian's in the house. Nice to see you. I love that, Brian. Paris Jade Humphrey. Hi, sweetheart. TW. Thanks again, hun. Really good to see you. All right, you guys, I'm going to bounce out of here and Stage of Stardust. Hi, babe. I almost missed you. I'm going to bounce on out of here and get over to at least 2 other zodiacs, and then I'll be back later on tonight after that, and we'll do a few more. So, Star Maiden, thank you, honey. Anisha Chetu, and hallelujah. Thank you, guys. I love that, Star Maiden. You're eating fresh corn right now. That is amazing. I love the serendipity of it. All right, you guys, lots of love. I'll see you again later. Wendy E., thank you, babe.